Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Slice of Health, the Candid Health Chat podcast, where we slice away health truth from health fiction. Join me and my friends as we challenge common health myths via chit chat, powered by several cups of coffee. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, and do visit us at asliceofhealth.club. Let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to A Slice of Health, where health comes alive, with bite-sized health education to keep you moving and making you your own health champion. But before we jump into our topic today, I want to tell you a story. Cynthia has recently been reading the news. Everywhere she looks, there is news about microplastics in the brain, microplastics in the gut, microplastics in her lungs. She hasn't particularly been aware of the challenges relating to plastics. What she knows is that plastics are part of daily life. She sees them in the supermarket, she sees them at home, she sees them everywhere she goes. And to be honest, she's never actually paid attention to plastics before. They have always been around, probably longer than her, and she feels they probably would be around for even longer than when she's gone. But this idea of having plastic in her brain is bothering her. Recently, she saw in the news that microplastics exist even in chewing gum. Now, this part is bugging Cynthia a lot because she chews gum almost every day. So she then made a decision not to chew chewing gum anymore. She switched to mints, but then she found out that microplastics can get into her body even from the plastic covering over her milk, over her vegetables, basically over everything that she usually buys or purchases as part of her daily life. Cynthia is getting increasingly anxious. What does it mean to try to remove microplastics from her life? What does it mean to be aware of this microplastic situation? And what should she do to try to eliminate plastics from her life? Cynthia is in a situation where many people are in 2025. We've been reading and hearing about microplastics. What exactly are microplastics? These are tiny little particles of plastic that are generally the size of a sesame seed. They come as a result of a breakdown of larger plastic items that we see. And as a result, these small particles are in almost all actually, of our environment. It includes in the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the food that we eat. Microplastics seem to be everywhere. Now, these microplastics find their way into our bodies and into our environment from lots of different ways, from washing of our clothes, from the car tires that we have, from plastic bottles, food packaging breakdown, cosmetic products, personal care items, waste as well. And then other sources are larger items of plastic that sort of break down over time and fragment into the ocean, or larger sources of plastic from landfill where we dispose of waste. And so, as Cynthia said, we're exposed to microplastics in so many different ways: in bottled water, in tap water, in seafood, in salt, honey, beer, tea bags, in our coffee, in processed foods that have lots of plastic packaging. Generally, in 2025, most of us are exposed to microplastics. So, what we know, as Cynthia was suggesting, is that microplastics have been found in human blood, even in the placenta that keeps little babies alive in the womb, in our stool and feces. And these microplastics can sometimes, unfortunately, carry alongside them things that pollute and even sometimes chemicals. The concern about microplastic is, what exactly are the long term effects of these things? And should we be concerned? Now, we really don't know what the long term effects of microplastics are. What we know is that most of us are exposed. So, if we're trying to reduce our exposure to microplastics, when we don't know the significance and the weight of what the consequence of this is on our body, then we can try to reduce or eliminate as much as possible our exposure to plastic. So the first thing that we can do is at home. So we can ensure that we are cleaning and dusting and hoovering regularly to reduce indoor particles and pollution. In the kitchen, we can ensure that we're using glass or stainless steel for food storage, making sure that we're not heating food up in plastic containers, so using glass in the microwave, making sure that we are avoiding tea bags that are likely to contain plastic particles, so choosing fresh tea leaves or loose leaf tea when possible. Also, reducing the amount of processed foods that we eat, which is an added benefit because we normally recommend reduction of ultra processed foods as well due to the risk of cardiovascular disease. And then other things that we can do is trying to check our ingredients for cosmetics, so buying things that are in glass jars as opposed to plastic jars, using natural alternatives to personal care products, and also supporting recycling efforts and choosing reusable items over single use plastic. Now, single use plastic is, something that we see even in healthcare with cannulas and catheters and people that go into hospital for different hospital procedures. So we do have a long way to go. But these simple steps have the capacity of reducing our exposure. And once it becomes a pattern for us at home, it then becomes a pattern for us in life as we go about our day, picking fruits and vegetables that are loose instead of those that are packed in plastic. So, the key important information for Cynthia is yes, microplastics are widespread in the environment and in the bodies of many people in 2025. The consequence of this is still being researched, but we can take simple steps on a daily basis to reduce our use of plastic, which is great for the environment, but then also to reduce our exposure to plastic, which is also good for our health. So that's it for me from today. Until I'm back in your ear tomorrow with stories that matter and knowledge that empowers. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Remember that this podcast in no way replaces the advice you receive from your own doctor or physician. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. Leave us a review on iTunes so that others can access the amazing content. And don't forget to be a health champion wherever you are by separating health fact from health fiction.